side, then intra-local government relationship on the urban side, and then we shall jump over to another trend like emerging issues and trends. You know, I think we have already discussed in a very detailed manner as to how there are major structural changes which have been infused through 73rd and 74th Amendment Acts. And to what extent these local governments have developed as institution of self-governance, it would depend on the history of the state and also the conventions and traditions in this respect. As for example, certain states have followed the democratic norm better than others, like Karnataka, Kerala, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, and some have also preferred rather to observe provisions in rich, like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, etc. With the prior discussion, it is already made clear that the 73rd Amendment Act provided a three-tier system of Panchayat Raj. The Gram Sabha is the most important institution where people's participation is set to invoke. Previously, where the Gram Sabha existed, it functioned as the prime association with the status of a body corporate with the perpetual succession and a common seal. And with the authority, these institutions, they have invested with the authority to sue or be sued in its corporate name of acquiring, holding, or transferring property and of entering into contracts. After this 73rd Amendment, the Gram Sabha, sorry, the Gram Panchayat has assumed that status. But however, the Gram Sabha still remains, and also it retains considerable authority as it is required to meet periodically and give its recommendation and suggestions to Gram Panchayat. Because Gram Panchayat is the larger body to suggest, and Gram Panchayat is to carry out those recommendations and to consider those recommendations extended by Gram Sabha with due emphasis and importance. So the interconnection, you see, ଆମର ଏଇ ଚାପ୍ଟରର ମେନ୍ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ହେଉଛି ଇଣ୍ଟ୍ରା ଲୋକାଲ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ. ଆପଣ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଇଣ୍ଟର ଆଉ ଇଣ୍ଟ୍ରା ଭିତରେ ହ୍ୱାଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଦ ଡିଫରେନ୍ସ. Suppose we say that there is one inter-class debate competition, means so interclass means suppose between various classes But when there is one intra-class debate, it means that within the same class. It is like, so today in the first two chapters, like relationship, first in the rural side, then on the urban side. When it is a question between the relationship between, for example, the Jilla Parishad and Panchayat Samiti, or between Panchayat Samiti and Gram Panchayat, in that case, that is inter-tier. But inside the same tier, there can be also relationship, and a sound relationship only can lead to the better functioning of the system, naturally. So now we are now discussing that what should be, that how a sound relationship also can be established between these two bodies, that is the Gram Sabha and Gram Panchayat. The interconnection between these two bodies ensured by the fact that chairperson of the Gram Panchayat presides over the meetings of Gram Sabha. And in most cases, the Gram Sabha gives credible opinion on the annual administration report, the annual statement of accounts and audit reports. And besides, the Gram Sabha is an sorry, indispensable instrument for bringing about social solidarity, organizing and managing volunteer groups, acting to keep them also very active within the particular group. And those voluntary sectors have to be kept active, because through their help, certain situations can be faced successfully, like disaster management. Certain also issues can be tackled in a better way, like family planning, gender justice, and so on. So, even otherwise, the cooperation of the Gram Sabha is sought on almost all occasions. Of course, there are also differing views on this regard. In 10th plan, different views they have been expressed. For example, so far as poverty alleviation is concerned, the 10th plan of 2002 to 2007 is a 5-year plan, 10th 5-year plan. It articulates that only ceremonial functions they have been given to the Gram Sabha. ଆପଣ ଗ୍ରାମ ସଭା ବୁଝୁଛନ୍ତି ତ, that is the general body, ଗୋଟେ village ର. Gram Panchayat is virtually the executive body. The powers and functions of the Gram Sabhas, they need to be enlarged to give them effective powers of implementation and monitoring the development plans. So this is one view, that Gram Sabha's hands are not sufficiently strengthened. So in their opinion, more powers must be given so that their hands can be strengthened and they can better supervise and monitor the operation of various schemes and plans within the jurisdiction of that panchayat. The powers and functions of the Gram Sabha, that is why, in their opinion, should be enlarged. There is a declaration that social audit of all development programs by Gram Sabha would henceforth be made mandatory ସେମାନେ କହିଲେ ଯେ ସୋଶାଲ ଅଡିଟ୍ ଗ୍ରାମ ସଭା ଥ୍ରୁରେ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ସ୍କିମ୍ର ଇମ୍ପ୍ଲିମେଣ୍ଟେସନ କରିବା ନିହାତି ଜରୁରୀ। ଇଟ୍ ମଷ୍ଟ ବି ମେଡ୍ ମ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡେଟୋରୀ। There is a proposition that the committee system which has been adopted in many states to facilitate a more participative decision making process in the panchayat should be incorporated in the State Panchayat Act. So, mostly the suggestions or recommendations by the supporters of this type of view that Gram Sabha's power should be enlarged. Because ସେମାନେ feel କରୁଛନ୍ତି all along Gram Sabhas they have been given only lip service. Sufficient importance they have not been attributed to them. For example, they have no sufficient power to supervise the schemes operated by Gram Panchayats. So, uplift of trial population through policy aimed at their specific concerns is the main agenda of administration in these regions. Then, so far as the connectivity between various tiers, ଆମେ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ତ୍ରିସ୍ତରୀୟ ପଞ୍ଚାୟତ ରାଜ ସିଷ୍ଟମରେ ଏପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ପଢି ଚାଲିଛେ। ସେମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଗୋଟେ କନେକ୍ଟିଭିଟି, interconnectedness. So far as this connectivity is concerned, the 73rd Amendment Act left the matter of representation of the chairperson of the Gram Panchayats and intermediate panchayats at successive higher stages, that is the intermediate and district panchayats, to the discretion of the state governments. ତେଣୁ 73rd Amendment Act କ'ଣ ହେଇଛି ଏଇ ମ୍ୟାଟରଟା, matter of connectivity, it has been virtually left to the state governments to decide. Represent in the panchayat at the intermediate level. But if we go to see the cases of Karnataka, Himachal Pradesh, and Rajasthan, there is provision for representation of 1/5 of the chairpersons of the village panchayats in panchayats at the intermediate level by rotation of for 1 year. In case of Tamil Nadu, Haryana, there is provision for election of chairpersons of village panchayats equal to 1/5 of the total elected members of the panchayats by rotation at the intermediate level. And Punjab has adopted more or less the same pattern. Then as far as representation of chairpersons of panchayats at the intermediate level in the panchayats at the district level is concerned, except for Gujarat and Maharashtra, all states have provided for representation. In Andhra Pradesh and Rajasthan, they are treated as permanent invitees. In case of Tamil Nadu, the restriction is that level. तार माने होची it is a simple description actually. एथरे किछि बुझिबार विशेष नाही. आपण देखिबे विभिन्न स्टेट कारण 73rd अमेंडमेंट एक्ट स्टेट माननकु एई प्रोविजन टाको डिसाइड बाकु दैथिबारु से माने विभिन्न प्रैक्टिस को अडॉप्ट करछन्ती. Regarding representation of the MPs and MLAs, successive tiers in panchayats who operate within its jurisdiction as well, the decision rests with the state legislatures. And that is why the practices in various states, they differ regarding their representation and all that. Then, so far as the intra-tier distribution of powers, ताने विभिन्न स्तर भितरे पावर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एवं फंक्शनल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन टा केमती करा जायछि. Work distribution and the relative significance of the three tiers in respect of powers and functions. Ever since the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee reveals a distinct reluctance on part of the state governments for meaningful and effective devolution of powers and functions, which continues till present day. So, regarding the devolution of powers and functions, it is found out that state governments or state legislatures, they have become reluctant. For effective devolution, in spite of in favor of having the panchayat samitis as the fulcrum in the scheme of things in decentralized governance at the local level, most states favored a strong Jilla Parishad. I mean, previous discussion already पढ़ी block level is one of the most important level or layer in which this decentralized administration should be made more effective. And also the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee's recommendation are favoring this type of arrangement. But it is seen that in most of the states, the legislations, they favor a stronger Jilla Parishad. So, in the scheme of things, the states, they favored a strong Jilla Parishad. It was even opined that the District Development Council, in fact, was the right institution to be developed as a democratic forum. It was even felt that it would be right to entrust it with the right to supervise the functions of the village panchayats and the samitis, panchayat samitis. As regards the powers and functions that ought to be entrusted to each tier, the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee had recommended that the functions of the Panchayat Raj bodies should include all areas concerning the social and economic development of the area in a general sense. And in particular, they should be entrusted with functions like public health, clean water provision, lighting and cleaning, then local roads and amenities, animal husbandry, fisheries, social forestry. मैंने जोड़ा का देखिए विशेष करी आमला grassroots level रा function जोड़ा को interest कराएगा. Subjects whose effects transcend the village boundaries should be entrusted to the committees. तार कारण होची गोटे पंचायत समिति actually is functioning over few village panchayats in that तार अर्थ गोटे पंचायत समिति अंडर रे केतोटे village पंचायत अछंती एनो जदि गोटे मैटर it comes I mean it falls beyond the jurisdiction of a single panchayat धरतो दि तीनटा पंचायत रे गोटे common interest subject हेतिबो then that must come within the jurisdiction of the committee because it deals the matters relating or concerning common matters concerning various gram panchayats. So the subjects whose effects, I mean whose impact, it goes beyond, transcends the village boundaries, should be entrusted to the committees. And those that concern the district as a whole should be with the Jilla Parishad. जो मैटर गोटे समुदाय सब गोटे जिलार समुदाय अंचल को कंसर्न करथबो अफेक्ट करथबो तार इंपैक्ट बा सब से जिलार प्रत्येक अंचलर बासिंदा माने सेतिर गोटे then this matter should be dealt with by Jilla Parishad not by the committee. And you know, according to the Ashok Mehta committee, decentralization should be attempted in the nature of real and effective devolution of powers and functions and not as seemingly political charity. तामाने अशोक मेहता कमिटी कहते हैं डिवोल्यूशन खाली गोटे थियोरिटिकली हवा दरकार ना कि गोटे पॉलिटिकल चैरिटी टाइप रो नुह हाँ तान किछि पावर दे दियो दिस इज टाइप ऑफ चैरिटी दान कला परे नो it should be effective से दिन गोटे रियल सिंसियरिटी आवश्यकता रही छी केवल गोटे चैरिटी हिसाब रे खाली गोटे डिवोल्यूशन तक एक्सेप्ट करिया उचित होनी. Delegation should start from the state governments. Development functions pertaining to the district which are being retained and performed by the state governments, it should be delegated to Jilla Parishads. You know, Ashok Mehta committee very strongly feels in terms of the real devolution of authority. केवल गोटे लिप सर्विस देकरी हाँ किसी पॉलिटिकल फंक्शन को डिवॉल्व कर दियो किसी से मान को इंडिपेंडेंस दे दियो दैट्स नॉट एनफ. So developmental functioning pertaining to the district which are being retained by the state governments should be delegated to Jilla Parishads. These would be in the education, ministries, welfare of backward sections of the society or backward classes, likewise. And also Ashok Mehta committee मध्ये आउ गोटे पार्ट रे एम्फसाइज करछन्ती So the committee also emphasized that commensurate resources should be provided to the institution to effectively and efficiently discharge the responsibilities delegated. এই পয়েন্ট আপরে প্রায় সব কমিটি ভেরি সিনসিয়ারলি হন্তি পাওয়ার ডেলিগেট করদেল যে এই এরিয়া উপরে আমার সেমানকৰ জুরিসডিকশনাল অথরিটি রহিব কিন্তু ইমপ্লিমেন্টেশন पे जो आवश्यक फाइनेंशियल रिसोर्सेस दरकार सेटा मध्ये प्रोवाइड करिया दरकार. सो adequate resources also must be allocated. सेति कहला commensurate resources सेति पे आवश्यक संबल समान को जगे देवा को पड़िबो. And କେତେଗୋଟେ ମଧ୍ୟ ରେଗୁଲେଟରୀ ଫଙ୍କସନ୍ସ ଅଛି which are tied with development work should also be entrusted along with the devolution at respective tiers. It is felt that efficient resource management can come about only by vesting control regarding its management in the local groups, and poverty and disability can best be tackled by empowering communities and urging them to self-help through efficient intervention at local levels. କାରଣ ରୁରାଲ ସାଇଟ୍ର ବିଭିନ୍ନ ସ୍ତରର ସବୁଠାରୁ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ପାର୍ଟ ହେଉଛି ପଭର୍ଟି ଆଉ ଡିସାବିଲିଟି ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ବି ଏଫେକ୍ଟିଭଲି ଟ୍ୟାକେଲ୍. So, one overall perusal of the 73rd Amendment suggests that it has assigned subjects like provisions and maintenance of civic amenities, public hygiene, maintenance of public works, primary education, agricultural production, rural industries, primary health care, women and child welfare, etc. And functions of these panchayat samitis are limited, including various local schemes entrusted to them. The district panchayats, they have been kept as generally advisory and fund distribution bodies, except in a few states where substantial functions have been entrusted to them. So devolution of power is mostly in respect of the preparation of plans for economic development and social justice. Then with respect to the implementation of the schemes for economic development and social justice as may be entrusted to them, which are the subjects also included in the 11th list and the 11th schedule. So let us have a brief discussion as to the intra-tier responsibilities with reference to the 11th schedule. ଆମେ ଯଦି 11th schedule ଟାକୁ ଆମେ ପଢିବା, the 11th schedule, one analysis of the study of that, it can show that local institutions have been assigned major responsibilities. ତେଣୁ 73rd amendment ବା 74th as such ମଧ୍ୟ ସେମାନେ ପ୍ରଥମ କରି ଦର୍ଶାଇଲେ ଯେ ୟୁନିୟନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ଲେଭେଲରେ ମେଜର ଡିସିସନ ମେକିଂ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ହେଇଥିଲେ ମଧ୍ୟ local institutions also have been assigned major responsibilities. And এই লোକାଲ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଚ୍ୟୁସନ୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କର ହ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡକୁ ଆମେ ଯଦି ଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଙ୍ଗଥେନ୍ କରିବା, ତାଙ୍କୁ ଏମ୍ପାୱାର ବେଶୀ କରିବା, then that can only determine the future course of the country. Environmental and social concerns, they have been also decentralized by putting them in the 11th schedule. Hence, the intent is to impose the quality of service delivery by bringing the administration closer to the doorsteps of the people. You know, all items in the 11th schedule as read under, it caters to the livelihood of the local people and protection of their habitat, their shelter, through propagation of environmental control measures. And also, since these matters put in the 11th schedule, they relate to education and extension. Education also has right been decentralized. The first important area is agriculture, including agricultural extension. The approach paper to the 10th plan, it has recognized the centrality of the subject in national income development. And public investment has continually shown a downward trend ever since the new economic policy was accepted. Statistics shows that public investment in agriculture declined from 1.6% gross domestic product GDP in 1993-94 to 1.3% in 1998-99. So downfall in public investment is owing to the system causes, which are explained by the shift towards present pro-business neoliberal paradigm of development. So there is the necessity of the revitalization of the farmers' cooperative societies for the management of agricultural infrastructure, such as irrigation, management, credit, storage, marketing, and this can be done through direct access to the markets. So it has been emphasized that true democracy can only come about through real empowerment of the people, and that is possible only when they own and manage their own resources. So this should also improve extension services. The agricultural extension machinery and information support in most of the states seem to have become outmoded. The staff created under the World Bank assisted training and visits programs, they do not have much of mobility. Then print media, electronic media, and the private sectors, particularly the input agencies and the traders, they're now one of the main sources of information for the farmers. Cooperatives should help check rampant abuse of natural resources. ତେଣୁ କୋପରେଟିଭ କ୍ରିଏସନ ଅଫ କୋପରେଟିଭ ଉପରେ ବିଶେଷ ଏମ୍ଫାସାଇଜ କରାଗଲା ଯୋଉଟା କି ରିସୋର୍ସ ଆବ୍ୟୁଜ କୁ ରାମ୍ପାଣ୍ଟ ରିସୋର୍ସ ଆବ୍ୟୁଜ କୁ ଚେକ୍ କରିପାରିବ. And this co-sharing arrangement would be worked out between farmers on a voluntary basis, which would aid further the task of sustainable development. The functioning of the cooperative societies, it is seen that it has suffered in the past. Why the credits? Sorry, these cooperative societies they have suffered. They have suffered from. It is because of the bureaucratic bottlenecking, bureaucratic control. It has suffered because of politicization of the process. The cooperatives they did not operate on sound management principles. Absence of a national policy on cooperatives. These are the points as to why the cooperatives they suffer. And again, absence of a national policy on cooperatives compromised their working. They didn't have adequate infrastructure support, services like marketing, storage. Studies reveal that in countries like China, for example, ways are being explored to set up cooperative farming as a planned organization, which would be a union of enterprises, scientific and technological workers, and farmers. The scientific and technological workers will be in charge of the promoting the advanced technologies. So the example of China is pertinent because the problems faced by the average farmer are largely similar, and the issues confronting the industry are also the same. So voluntary efforts definitely shall go a long way. Another positive outcome of voluntary effort is collectivization of the effort. In the farming sector, as a voluntary arrangement between the farmers, they do garner economies of scale which are presently lacking in agricultural sector. So another sector is minor irrigation, water management, watershed development. Hello, hello, hello. Sir, there is some network problem. Okay, we shall continue. So the as we have discussed, we are discussing minor irrigation, water management, watershed development, etc. The aim of the putting all this in 11th schedule is to encourage communitarianism. Local operation and provision of public goods is considered to be the more cost effective and sustainable option. In watershed development, the aim is to move from conventional practices of soil conservation based on safe disposal of runoff to rainwater harvesting based on indigenous practices. Rainwater management, it would it would encompass multiple uses of water, namely drinking water for the people, livestock, and wildlife, then life saving and pre-sowing irrigation of crops, natural regeneration of the flora and other uses, etc. And another subject is social forestry and farm forestry. Decentralization of environment protection, it follows the same reasons that forests can be better secured if local people are offered a stake in their preservation. So, as per the new forest policy, the idea of joint forest management (JFM) it has been mooted, which turns to practice the above arguments. And as a part of this joint forest management, ଆପଣ ଦେଖିବେ joint forest management ରେ that is when you the village woodlands, and they have also the Hello, 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 dear learners. Hello, hello. Am I audible? Hello, hello, dear learners. Hello, dear learners. Hello, hello, hello. Am I audible? Hello,
Am I audible?
am I audible? Hello, am I audible? There is some connectivity problem. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Actually, for few minutes there is some connectivity problem. Okay, then I am carrying on. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. Actually, there is some connectivity problem for few 2-3 minutes. Okay. So, please bear with me. So we are discussing about this animal husbandry, and also it has been recognized globally that conservation and improvement of the native animals and their genetic resources is essential for sustainable development in agriculture and animal husbandry. So worldwide, it has been recognized. So for the rural development, naturally, and for sustainable development, particularly in the rural sectors, we shall find that conservation and improvement of the native animal genetic resources are very much is required. Hence, conservation and improvement programs should be decentralized and active involvement of non-government organizations should be sought. ତେଣୁ ଆପଣ ମାର୍କ କରିବେ ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ଏସବୁ ଏରିଆ ଗୁଡାକରେ କନଭେନ୍ସନାଲ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟାଲ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚର ସହିତ ଲୋକାଲ ବଡି ସହିତ ମଧ୍ୟ ନନ୍ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟାଲ ବା ଏନଜିଓ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ନନ୍ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ସେକ୍ଟର ମାନଙ୍କୁ ମଧ୍ୟ ଏଥିରେ ଇନଭଲ୍ଭ କରାଯାଏ. Active involvement of the non-government organizations should be sought. So, in line with the decentralization, the 10th plan marks a shift from subsistent livestock farming to sustainable and viable livestock and poultry farming. And also in the field of distribution of livestock products. Then the next important area is also fisheries. The waterlogged lands could be reclaimed for aquaculture and crop production. Alkalinity, for example, and salinity of the land that would be treated through effective drainage. And the technology used to handle this salinity or alkalinity would be environment friendly, eco friendly, based on active participation also of the people. Then the other subject is minor forest produce, which refers to again to this new forest policy and watershed development schemes. Then the eighth subject is this small scale industries. So growth in these sectors, it has been hampered by constraints such as a lack of timely credit, technological obsolescence, infrastructural bottlenecking, marketing constraints, and too many rules and regulations which stifles the initiatives. A new policy package has been announced. Limits for investment in plant and machinery, loan limits from the RBI, small and medium enterprises should integrate. So small and medium enterprises should be integrated with the small and medium industries also. Then the other, the ninth subject, so far as this 11th schedule is concerned, is khadi, village and cottage industries. And the items in this schedule, actually what we are discussing is the subject-wise items included in the 11th schedule. So 10 to 14 that deal with basic services like housing, fuel, fodder, drinking water, etc. Regarding safe drinking water provision, panchayats are unwilling to shoulder the responsibility for cooperating and maintaining the water supply projects, which are presently designed and executed by implementing departments at the state level. 12th, fodder. ଆପଣ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ସବୁ ସବଜେକ୍ଟ ଯାକ ଆମର rural sector ପାଇଁ most relevant. It has been discussed above. Local people have the knowledge regarding what species need to be planted. ତେଣୁ ଆପଣ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସୋଶାଲ ଫରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ସ୍କିମ୍ ମଧ୍ୟ ହେଲା ଇଭେନ୍ ଇନ୍ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ଭିଲେଜ ଉଡଲଟ୍ସ ଟାକୁ ଗ୍ରୋ କରାଗଲା ଲୋକାଲ ପାର୍ଟିସିପେସନ ଉପରେ ବିଶେଷ ଗୁରୁତ୍ୱ ଦିଆଗଲା ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଫର ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ କୋଉ ପ୍ରକାର ସ୍ପେସିସର ପ୍ଲାଣ୍ଟ ସେଇ ଜାଗାରେ ଗ୍ରୋ କରିବ ଲୋକାଲ କନସଲଟେସନ ୱାଜ ନେସେସରୀ so what species need to be planted for fuel and fodder requirements hence the joint arrangement for forest management between the official agency and the community would serve the purpose ତାମାନେ ସବୁ କିଛି କଣ ଅଛି ଲୋକାଲ ଇନଭଲଭମେଣ୍ଟ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଅଂଶୀଦାର କରେଇଲେ ବା ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଅଂଶଗ୍ରହଣ କରିବାର ସ୍କୋପ ଦେଲେ ଯାଇକି ଏ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାର ସ୍କିମ୍ ଗୁଡାକୁ ସକ୍ସେସଫୁଲି ପର୍ଜ କରାଯାଇ ପାରିବ it can be purged ahead. So apart from the community woodlots ମାନେ ଗାଁ ପାଖର ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟ ଜଙ୍ଗଲ that is called the village woodlots, community woodlots, public woodlots, farms, homestead for meeting the requirements of the fuel and fodder. Fuel and fodder requirement as meet kariପାରିବ and also agricultural farms are also being utilized for the purpose. So National Commission on Agriculture since 1976 has been, it has given a fillip to these initiatives. It has encouraged these initiatives. So the 13th रखा है subject as a subject roads, culverts, bridges, ferries, waterways, etc. 15th is also a non-conventional energy sources. And interestingly, development of the non-conventional energy sources has been decent since subsistence of the poor farmers is indirectly associated with the resource exploitation. 16th subject out our poverty alleviation programs. Most relevant so far as the rural sector is concerned. Poverty alleviation programs. Though our independence पर various scheme द्वारा poverty definitely has come down. बहुत कमी in absolute terms from 37.27%. The statistics shows in 1993, 94 to 27.09% in 1999 and 2000. So definitely there is a decline in so far as the poverty rate is concerned or poverty intensity is concerned. And this is attributed to the, but in spite of this, that also there are certain sectors, the achievement has fallen short of the targets. ଯଦିଓ ପଭର୍ଟିଟା କମିଛି ତଥାପି ତାର ଏକ୍ସପେକ୍ଟେଡ ଟାର୍ଗେଟରୁ ବହୁତ କମ ଅଛି। ତାର ଅର୍ଥ ପଭର୍ଟି ଆହୁରି ମଧ୍ୟ ଦ୍ରୁତ ଭାବରେ କମିବା ଦରକାର। So what we have achieved, definitely we have achieved something, but that has fallen short of our targets. So it's still more has to be done in this particular field. And why there is a gap between the target and the achievements, this can be attributed to the imbalance in the target achievements in the states. Poverty has become endemic in certain pockets of the country, and particularly relatively poorer states like Odisha, Bihar, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh. And these states alone accounted for 69% of the poor in the country in 1999 10th plan, according to this report. So we have briefly discussed about so much of subjects enlisted in this. I mean, the analysis is in relation to the 11th schedule. Civil society activism also should be secured in a better way at the local level, which is showing promise in the field of poverty alleviation. Cooperation, for instance, it could be institutionalized through committees. An example of successful civil society activism could be their effort in securing the livelihoods of the downtrodden segments of the society. Civil society activism को विशेष गुरुत्व दिया गया। देखा formal structures of governance sometimes cannot achieve up to the mark because of various problems like red tapeism, bottlenecking, bureaucratic maneuvering, bureaucratic control, and the dilatory procedures and all that. Example of successful civil society activism could be their efforts in securing the livelihoods of the downtrodden segments of the society. And agricultural workers, they did not benefit from Jamidari abolition, as they have no land and employment opportunities have not grown enough in the non-farming sectors. So it is naturally visible যে জমিদারি abolition বা জমিদারি উচ্ছেদ କରିଦେବା ଦ୍ୱାରା agricultural workers মানে benefit ପାଇଗଲେ ଏହା ଭାବା ଭୁଲ। And most of the workers they did not benefit because they have no land. And ଯାହାର land ନାହିଁ ସେ benefit କଣ ପାଇବ ଜମିଦାରି abolition ରୁ? And employment opportunities have not grown enough in the non-farm sectors. So conferment of ownership rights to the tenants It has proved to be a retrograde measure as it has deterred farmers from renting out land, even if there are no able bodied members to cultivate for fear of acquisition by the owners. So, this has had adverse impacts on productivity and also adverse impact on the employment opportunity for agricultural land laborers. And this warrants a fresh look at the tenancy laws, tenancy acts, and certain innovative experiments in this regard pioneered by non-government organizations have worked, like the idea of Pani Panchayat, for example. Most of us know about Pani Panchayats. Also in our state, also that has been experimented. Where each member of the village has equal right over water, irrespective of ownership, over some piece of land, and hence big farmers are forced to lease out land to agricultural laborers who have no land but water rights to access more water. Then subjects from 17th to 18th, 17th and 18th subjects relate to education, including primary and secondary school and technical training and vocational education, adult and non-formal education, libraries, and cultural activities. Then the subject that is 22nd subject is markets and fairs, marketing arrangement for rural industries and agricultural products. କାରଣ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଦେଖାଯାଉଛି ଯେ ଏଗ୍ରିକଲଚର ପ୍ରଡକ୍ଟସ୍ ପାଇଁ ମାର୍କେଟିଂଟା ହେଉଛି ଭେରି inadequate. If the agricultural farmers produce something, ତାଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ଆମେ ଯଦି the state cannot provide a proper market, then they cannot be benefited. Extension workers possess inadequate information about market conditions regarding their prices, and farmers are ill-informed. And resource constraints and lack of political will largely explain governmental apathy. So, in the agricultural sector, sufficient agricultural policies they have not been developed to support the resource base for the farmers. Market condition ଉପରେ pricing system ଉପରେ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ମଧ୍ୟ କୌଣସି control ରହୁନାହିଁ. If the shift towards the neoliberal paradigm of governance has had some negative consequences like culling public investments in agriculture, there are positive potentials to be tapped. The 23rd subject is health and sanitation. 24th subject is family welfare. Then 25th to 27th, quality of life of the people according to 25th, which deals with the women and child development, and 26th with social welfare, and also 27th, which concerns welfare of the weaker sections. Subject wise, we have dealt what are the fields being dealt with. So now, most importantly, family welfare as the 24th subject, then quality of life of the people as the 25th subject, women and child development being dealt at 25th subject, social welfare including welfare of the handicapped and mentally retarded as the 26th subject, Then welfare of the weaker sections, particularly scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, as the 27th subject. And 28th subject deals with the particular subject of the public distribution system. PDS is very important. Public distribution system. 29th is the maintenance of community assets. କାରଣ ଆମେ ଦେଖିଥିଲେ ଯେ 11th schedule 29 subjects को include କରାଗଲା ଆମେ more or less ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ subject को ଟିକେ ଟିକେ ଜାଣି ଦେଇ ପାରିଲେ 73rd amendment 29 subjects they have been added in this 11th schedule which is added newly to the constitution and mostly ଆମେ जो area subject ଟା का with deal कले starting from the first subject up to the 29 subject अल्पे बहुत है सबुडाक rural development में very pertinent very relevant subjects in the process of development in the aforesaid functional areas as the 29th subject says assets should come up like water harvesting structures the onus for the management of which should be with the local communities. Then I shall touch upon briefly what are the intra-tier implementation hurdles. বিভিন্ন we have now discussed 29 subjects of the 11th schedule. Now our focus shall be that how the implementation side रे जो hurdle गुड़ाक आसुची से गुड़ाक को केमती हमें manage करिवा how they can be managed. There are 29 items in the 11th schedule. However, precise definition of the function and jurisdiction or breakup of the items into supervisory, executive, legislative, etc. They have not been in a detailed manner. They have not been dealt. They are unspecified. There are mostly three distinct group of responsibilities. I may 29 subjects come the grouping kar daba. According to few scholars, that groupings of these responsibilities can be made in three groups. These are civic services, developmental activities, agency tasks. In effect, the civic services and development activities of the panchayats are joint responsibilities with the state field administration. While agency functions are undertaken by the panchayats at the behest of the state government. And instead of carving out a panchayat functional list out of this 7th schedule, the 11th schedule illustrates a combined list of civic services and development activities, which could be joint rather than exclusive responsibilities of the panchayats and the state field administration. Some experts they feel that mere listing of the functions should not serve the purpose. केवल गोटे लंबा लिस्ट देखिरी एनिमल हस्बेंड्री रहिला हमरो सोशल फॉरेस्ट्री रहिला हेल्थ सैनिटेशन एजुकेशन सब प्राइमरी सेक्टर्स रहिला and what have to be done. This long list will not be enough. A detailed exercise would be imperative to identify and specify the functions for each tier under each sector as per the budget scheme. That is most important. And emphasis is given that expert groups should be constituted in each state to identify the schemes which could be delegated to the local level. And it would not be right to leave the matter to the discretion of the state officials. ये जो स्टेट ऑफिशियल मानकर डिस्क्रिप्शन एटा रखी दिया जाउची नेचुरली सक्सेस इज डिलेड टारगेट इज नॉट अचीव्ड desired purpose is not fulfilled. So in assigning the expenditure responsibilities to the three tiers of the panchayat, no discernible principle, clear-cut principle seems to have been followed, especially that of subsidiaries, which means whatever can be solved at the lower tier should be allocated to the level itself. The upper tier should be limited to a coordinating role or managing only spillover functions. The 10th plan has strongly asserted the need for the involvement of the Gram Sabha or Gram Panchayat in the preparation of village development plans and their integration with the plans prepared at the Samiti and the district levels for realizing the goal of grassroots planning in India. To 10th plan re village development plan टा essentially ग्राम पंचायत बा ग्राम सभा लेवल रे हेबो एवं that will be integrated only with the plans prepared by the Samiti or district level. तामने lower stratum रे by tier रे plans shall be prepared but it shall be integrated with the plans of the middle tier, that is Panchayat Samiti, and also with the plans prepared in the top tier, that is Jila. So you know, empirically, you know, it has been realized that the people have benefited most from development programs, but there has been informed collaboration between panchayats, the user groups, and community organizations. This one experience. So empirically it is derived. And however, since the panchayats and the voluntary sector functions in the same subject areas, there have been reports of conflicts between the two. Voluntary sectors also said to play a significant role in rural development. Specifically, service delivery as the modality of implementing Swarna Jayanti, Swarojgar Yojana, and Swarna Jayanti Gram Rozgar Yojana, that is SGSY and SGRY. So the shift in SGSY, that is the Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana, it would shift a process oriented approach in 4 stages. And the stages are social mobilization for formation of self-help groups, saving among the groups and internal lending among its members, and provision of a revolving fund, microfinance, then micro enterprise development. Exactly in the same, with the same vein, we can have intra-local government relationship in the urban level. Almost, I mean, the rural sector, I mean, almost in the same pattern we can know the intra-local governmental relationship in the urban side. In urban local government, you know, we have talked of it is in the tinta tier ବିଷୟରେ ଆମେ ପଢିଛେ ଏଠି ମଧ୍ୟ ତିନିଟା tier NSC, that is in the lowest level, that is notified area councils, in the middle tier there is municipality, and in the top tier is municipal corporations. The 70 ଆମର 73rd amendment act ଯେମିତି rural side ରେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ changes ଆଣିଲା ବା 11th schedule को add କଲା ଏବଂ ସେଥିରେ 29 subjects କୁ ରଖାଗଲା ଯୋଉଟା କି local self government ତାପରେ enactment କରିପାରିବ. The 74th amendment provides for a three-tier structure of local government: municipal corporation, municipal council, nagar panchayats, etc., for various areas in transition. The question is reconciliation of the old existing structure with the stipulation in the new constitutional amendment. There are also sub-units in the urban local government. The notified area committees and town area committees are popularly known as the half sisters of municipal council. These are sub-units. As per the position in 1997, notified area committees numbering 202 in all exist in Bihar, Gujarat, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttar Pradesh, and Himachal Pradesh. And a notified area committee comes up in area which are not yet eligible to be constituted as a municipal council, yet considered important as an urban area. You know, the rural urban relationship committees, there is a particular committee that is called Rural Urban Relationship Committee, which has classified the townships like this: single industry township, for example, Raurkela, Bhilai, Jamshedpur, single industry townships. Townships like having an industrial complex, for example, Durgapur. Small townships like Heavy Electrical Limited near the city of Bhopal, Telephone Industries and Hindustan Aeronautics near Bangalore. So the Rural Urban Relationship Committee has classified townships like this: single industrial townships, town industrial complexes, then also small townships having heavy electrical and also telephone and aeronautics engineering. Townships, আমি যদি দেখছি সব ইউনিটস অফ লোকাল গভর্নমেন্ট, তার কতটা অ্যাডভান্টেজেস আছে. Townships have several advantages over the conventional forms of local government. These are well planned and provide better quality services to the residents. ଅନେକ ସମୟ ଦେଖାଯାଇଛି ମାନେ କନଭେନ୍ସନାଲ ଅର୍ବାନ ଗୁଡାକ କ'ଣ ଆମେ NSC କହୁଛେ, ପ୍ରିନ୍ସିପାଲିଟି କହୁଛେ, ଏଟା ସବୁ କନଭେନ୍ସନାଲ local self governments. କିନ୍ତୁ ଯୋଉ present grown, I mean, as categorized by this rural urban relationship committee, ଏ ଟାଉନସିପ୍ର ଗୋଟେ ଆଡଭାଣ୍ଟେଜ ହେଉଛି they are well planned, provide better quality service to the residents, such as water supply, electricity, sanitation, and the outcome is both positive and negative. In that haphazard development around the township creates problem of urban management. So studies have been done about this town administrators administration, and the towns those who have grown around the heavy industries, Hindustan Steel and Hindustan Machine Tools, Naval Lignite Corporation, heavy engineering corporations, likewise Fertilizer Corporation of India, likewise. You know, the chief issue in intra-tier local government relationship is that the urban growth and development is predominantly an economic concern, in that how work distribution should be affected in order that maximum efficiency in service delivery is secured. Specifically, in economic terms, urban infrastructures consisted of drinking water provision, sanitation, sewage system, electricity, gas distribution, urban transport, primary health services, environmental regulations, etc. Public goods are explained as goods whose benefits cannot be quantified and distributed equitably across beneficiaries. Some references in some of the texts have been given about France. That in France there are three main tiers of local administration, like the commune, the department, and the region. It actually ଆମ ଦେଶରେ ନୁହେଁ, ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସରେ ଏଇ ଟାଇପ୍ର ଆରେଞ୍ଜମେଣ୍ଟସ୍ କରାଯାଇଛି. Very old arrangements dating from 1789, French Revolution time and all that. The commune is the lowest tier in the French administrative hierarchy. Since the United States from the reference ଦିଆହେଇଛି, consolidations were attempted but have now become unpopular both with both the citizens and citizen representatives, since political authority of the official in smaller units is lost in the process. I mean, why these countries' references they have been given? Just to study the trend of towards the consolidation. Innovative solutions also have been found for the problems of inter-jurisdiction functions, ensuring economies of scale for different services. At the same time, maintaining the territorial integrity of the units. Suburbanization is a common feature of urban governance. You know, though the general global trend is, as it is evidenced across countries like Canada, Singapore, France, is to amalgamate these smaller communities into the larger vicinity. The Americans are retaining their plural setup. So, in addition to the country's townships and municipalities, states also creates school districts and other special districts which operate inter-jurisdiction, ensuring efficiency of the service while maintaining the territorial status quo. There is a reference to polycentricity. What is an polycentric order? A polycentric order addresses the important question of how to provide and produce local collective goods in urban areas, especially in developing countries, equitably and efficiently. So, polycentricity provides an alternative to consolidation of smaller units. Consolidation ଗୋଟେ side ଆଉ ହେଉଛି poly ଆମେ ଯେମିତି polyclinic କହୁଛେ ସେମିତି polycentres out of that which is coming polycentricity which creates monocentric order through amalgamations and merger. Consolidation amalgamation leads towards what? Monocentric order. But units which have has formed the basis of urban reforms throughout the Western Europe and to a considerable extent in America. But subsequently, it was found that consolidation did not result in economizing of the scales in case of each public good. And instead, consolidations promoted a monocentric order. Mono means one, poly means one. Polycentrism or polycentricity is just the opposite of monocentric order. And consolidation promoted a monocentric order. Mono means one centric order. ବା ଗୋଟେ ଶୃଙ୍ଖଳା ଯୋଉଟା ତା ଦ୍ୱାରା କ'ଣ ହେଲା ଆଡମିନିଷ୍ଟ୍ରେସନଟା ବେଶୀ ଡିଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ହେଇଗଲା. Center of administration lies quite far away from the people. So monocentric order made administration distant, aloof, and encouraged pathological behavior on the part of public officials because they are virtually away from the public, which is pejoratively referred rent sinking. So it is referred as rent seeking or pursuing undue privileges, hence economic gain from political authority, the scope for which enhances considerably in a monocentric order. Instead, various arrangements should be made or should be institutionalized through public-private partnership. So the monocentric approach is known as the top-down approach and it's based on the assumption like collective goods are homogeneous, substantial economics of scale, urban voters have similar preferences. These are the assumptions on which monocentrism has developed. Voting aggregate preferences, strict level bureaucrats deliver services to passive clients. In the developing countries, there are also some other assumptions that government must control provisions and production of public good. ତାମାନେ ଏଗୁଡ଼ାକ ହେଉଛି basis ବା they favor the monocentric approach, monocentric order. The polycentric contention or argument is that large number of small organizations operating as different and various permutation and combination of public, private, and state community-based organizations, they work more efficiently than a unilateral agency. So the arrangement preferred to each case should be based on the nature of the public good in question. For example, roads, education, and police are different kinds of public goods. and the same criterion should not apply in their provisioning. So the example is road kohantu, education kohantu, police kohuchନ୍ତି, by nature they are different kinds of goods. ତେଣୁ ଆମେ ଏକା ସିମିଲାର ଟାଇପ ଅଫ କ୍ରାଇଟେରିୟନକୁ ଆମେ ଆପ୍ଲାଏ କରିକି ସେମାନଙ୍କର ପ୍ରୋଭିଜନଟାକୁ ଡିସାଇଡ୍ କରିପାରିବା ନାହିଁ. So a single type of consideration or criterion should not apply for making provisions for these items. For this one example like education, police and roads. There is also the financial argument. There is need for devolution of financial powers to local government. ସେଥିପାଇଁ monocentric order ନୁହେଁ, polycentric order is an important concept in spatial planning. It is only polycentric development which can forge complementarity between the core and the periphery. The core area and the peripheral areas in the urban development schemes. So it means connecting a number of places so that they form a network. By operating together, they achieve a new critical mass. Also some examples they have been cited from USA and all that. The Constitution of US creates a national government with limited power, while centralist strained tendencies have been obvious, as has been in the federation like Australia and Canada. Centralized means ଆମର ବି ଧର ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା more or less we have a cooperative federalism. Not only that, more or less also we have a gradual process. ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା centralized tendencies they have come up for better economy, for better planning and all that. So also there are reference to in this particular area innovations in Canada. ଆପଣ details ଦେଇ ପାଇପାରିବେ ଆମେରିକା ଆଉ କାନାଡା ମାନଙ୍କରେ ଏଇ countries ମାନଙ୍କରେ the federal arrangement and the provincial forms of government. Excuse. For example, in Canada, all municipalities are created by the province through a clause in the constitution that allows them to delegate some responsibilities to another government body. Whether a local municipality in Canada is termed a city or termed a town is determined by its size. Where there is another level of municipal government such as county or region. Division of labor between the federal and provincial governments and municipalities, they have been worked out on the basis of feasibility, practicability, and maximum utility, which should be in line with the polycentric argument. So the agencies, the commissions and special boards, which are also regarded as components of local government in Canada, they are created either to administer functions common to a member of separate municipalities or to provide special services. What about our experiences in India? Divisions of functions intra-tier is not specific. A lot has been left to the discretion of the state governments. जोटा कि हम बारंबार अन्य previous chapter रे पढ़ी सारिछे. Structuring on the ground could either articulate the monocentric argument or encourage citizen participations through polycentricity. Some scholars like Tiwari, in their opinion, the existing municipal law, they are totally inadequate to enable to the urban local bodies to discharge the new responsibilities delegated to them by the 74th Amendment Act. So, according to scholars, and this is one scholar Tiwari's observation in 2005, that the present municipal laws, they are totally inadequate to make the urban local bodies function efficiently under the constitutional 74th Amendment Act. Although the state governments, they have amended the municipal acts as a follow-up of the 74th Amendment. So the suggestions by the scholars that some of the measures can be taken, even Tiwari has suggested that to enable the urban local bodies to serve as agencies for plan preparation, enforcement, and implementation. Suggestions are like this: clear division of functional responsibilities and linkages among different levels of government to ensure upward and downward accountability. Then the division of municipal functions into essential functions, agency functions, and joint functions with state and central governments. Then another measure is avoiding the traditional distinction between obligatory and discretionary functions. ଆପଣ ଦେଖିବେ ଅନେକ ସମୟରେ ଆମର ଟ୍ରାଡିସନାଲ ଚାପ୍ଟର ଗୁଡାକରେ କ'ଣ ଲେଖା ହେଇଛି, that what are the obligatory functions and optional functions on the part of the local bodies, maybe rural or urban, whatever. So here the measure to be taken is avoiding the traditional distinction between obligatory and discretionary functions, since such classifications result in uncertainties, non-transparent system of municipal accountability. Then essential functions of the municipalities to include urban planning, including town planning, regulation of the land use, and construction of buildings and planning for economic and social development, and amendments to the municipal acts. So the requirements in work distribution intra-tier is flexibility, role of the actors, then information system, urbanizable areas, growth centers, policy guidelines, mixed labor use, financial planning, services and environment, then the need for the informal sector, land policy and management, legal framework, etc. Then building bylaws, standards, database at the metropolitan, district, and state levels, simplification of the measures and procedures, strengthening planning mechanism and institutional institutions, then strengthening administrative and technical capabilities. These are the requirements. So it could not be assumed that bigger is better. Hence, where required, plural arrangements should be worked out between the tiers in the spirit of polycentricity to ensure best and most optimum scale of production, provision of good services, and for that, collateral arrangements would need be worked out instead of vertical and hierarchical ones. Then, with this, I think we have touched upon the some of the important portions of 73rd, 74th Amendment, its organizational structure on the rural and urban side, then intra-local governmental relationship both on the rural and urban side. Then coming to briefly within 10-15 minutes, I think I should wind up. That is development planning. What should be its nature and scope? This comes under emerging issues and trends. ଆମେ ଏପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଯାହା ପଢୁଥିଲେ the very structural arrangements and mostly with special reference to the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act. Now we shall touch upon what are the emerging issues and trends. I shall only begin with this within 10 minutes. I shall wind up my topic by 7:30. What is the nature and scope of developmental planning? We have already seen that currently there is a paradigm shift in development policies. The shift is from the socialistic to the neoliberal ideology. This shift is from the socialist to the neoliberal ideology. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, the socialist model of development has been largely discredited in favor of the liberalized free market dispensations. And it is significant that apart from economic legitimacy, the percepts of capitalistic world, it has gained in political rationality, political legitimacy. And development economics has political undercurrents which have to be taken cognizance of in order to appreciate completely the economic rationality behind the recent shift in development economies. So public policy in developing countries is under heavy influence of suggestions from international agencies like World Bank, International Monetary Fund, etc. And the World Trade Organization following the GATT in the General Administration. I'm sorry. That's called General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. General Agreement on Trade and Tariff forms the new environment of constraints. The economic rationality behind the shift is the failure of the earlier paradigm in reducing poverty in the third world and the hope that freeing international trade barriers and opening up economies in the third world, which will increase business opportunities, leading to accelerated creation of jobs and also wealth. So the rationale of development planning is that it would be always far-fetched to suggest that development planning does its economic arguments and rationality from the public finance school of economics, जोटा कि केनेसियन थ्योरी ଉପରେ बेस କରି ରହୁଥିଲା of income and employment. Public finance implies more government as opposed to less government, preferred by the liberalists. And public choice theorists till the 1960s, the emphasis on in development planning was on resource development via investment allocation in sectors. Development planning at the local level is essential to articulate targets and charts the roadmap for implementing in requisite details for the schemes to stay on course and achieve the targets in varieties of regions. Multi-level planning is expected to facilitate factoring of such diverse concerns in plans to detailed attention at the local level by development planners. So reference is to plan implementation wherein detailing and specifications of macro targets at macro level have to be provided for. Multi-level planning is also expected to make operations cost effective by providing better linkage between the relevant sectors. And multi-level planning is expected to reduce the regional disparities. Development planning is expected to simplify the implementation process by infusing role clarity, removing overlapping between sectors and establishing needed linkages for set output levels. In India, decentralization could be criticized as a precocious attempt since it has been embarked upon without ensuring the essential socio-economic prerequisites, for example, desired standards of awareness, education, institutional arrangements for the people's participation in planning, plan implementation with the people involvement, etc. These are lacking in our planning process. Pertinently, in economic theory, there are two approaches to economic development as for one establishing basic prerequisites such as law and order, communication, infrastructure. And as for the other approach, development is planned for and provided proactively. As per the first approach, establishment of local self-government would renew the local administration, which would have positive spin-off effects on business. Generally improved investment climate is expected. And the role of planning commission in the changed dispensation is likely to shift to long-range planning. So there are requirements in development planning. Employment generation would be the key requirement, as we have seen and articulated in the 10th plan, and also mentioned before in the neoliberal dispensation. The state would largely roll back in areas where it is performing inefficiently, and the civil service is relatively well institutionalized. This should be part of the wider goal of good governance. Then the issues in rural development. That is another requirement. It has been brought out in the midterm appraisal of the ninth plan document that many rules regarding SC/ST welfare, forestry, decentralization contain rules which are actually anti-poor. There are numerous such acts, many acts like Essential Commodities Act, the Mandi Act, like that, preserve government monopoly and which actually go against the public interest. And that is the reason that real rural development was not possible. So specific issues involved in which is articulated in the 10th plan are legislation, ensure transparency of administration. Another important key thing in 10th plan is citizens charter, establishing service delivery standards. Very important that citizens charter must be there so that citizens can be aware about their own entitlements. Then responsible legal system, curtailment of administrative expenditure through right sizing government and reducing transaction costs. Then there are also important issues like employment generation, human resource development, etc. And also issues in urban planning like technological revolution, formation of global economy, emergence of an information form of economic production and management had to be addressed. Environmental protection has become one of the major also concerns. Protection of natural environment, conservation of areas of cultural heritage, optimizing land use and land utilization, providing services and infrastructures, then participatory approach for supply of land, infrastructure of development and all that. So I think just we have started with a very rudimentary idea on this concept of development planning and all that. In the next class and others we shall carry forward and the further we can further our discussion on these problems and all. Okay, this is already 7:32, so it's high time to leave the platform. Okay, dear learners, should we close the discussion now? It's already time. Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So today just I have initiated the emerging issues and trends. ଆମେ ୟା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଯୋଉଟାକ ପଢୁଥିଲେ mostly the structure, function and the related issues regarding 73rd and 74th Amendment Acts. And now we have jumped over to another field that is emerging trends and emerging issues in the field of development planning, which I have just begun with this various issues involved in this. And in other classes, we shall carry forward the other issues and problems associated with this topic. Thank you. So now I am leaving the platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.